Welcome to the Audiocasters with your business besties, Karina Belizzi and Julie Loken. In every episode, you'll get behind-the-scenes access to experts who share their struggles and successes in podcasting, publishing, and presenting. So grab a pen, grab your bestie, and kick it with Karina and Jules.
And we're live.
We're live once again. We're kicking it today with our guest contributor, the amazing Rhonda Penders, who happens to be taking a lovely, I'm going to call it a vacation. I don't know if she would consider it a vacation
A
in
break from the norm, right?
the Isle of Ireland.
Right. This is where
Wow.
I consider Ireland to be like paradise. When I took my mother there shortly after I introduced her to my husband, we went on vacation together to Ireland. She
You,
said
your
this
mom, and
place,
Matt went on
yeah,
vacation together?
that's how I met, how I introduced her to him because they lived in different states, right?
Oh, that's so sweet.
So we toured Ireland and she never wanted to leave. She was like, I
Mm.
feel like I am home. She'd never seen so many shades of green in her life. I will say
Mhm.
the same applies to me. It's just so beautiful to be in the natural world there. So I'm intensely jealous of Rhonda Penders and
Mhm.
everyone in that writing tour right now.
Mhm. A writing tour in Ireland, I don't know what could be more inspiring, quite honestly. And just taking in the landscape of Ireland has to just delete writer's block from everybody that has joined Rhonda on this amazing adventure.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it.
We have to ask her why we weren't invited.
IrelandWriterTours.com for anyone listening. Just go ahead and
Ooh,
take a look at that site, and we're going to bring
Ireland
Rhonda
writing
right up.
tours. Holy
Our
cow, I never
guest
knew there was such a
contributor,
thing.
Rhonda Penders.
Hello, ladies.
The fair lass herself.
So you're out there representing Wild Rose Press, and
I
you're going to be
am.
putting pen to paper, yes?
Yes, it's been good. I've only been here about 24 hours, but we had a full packed day today. Our tour guide, Fiona Claire is her name. We had a bus tour and we went and we had this wonderful tour of some forests and we looked for fairies, the Irish fairies, Faery. And we took this long nature walk. It's about 2 kilometers. And it was to inspire you with nature, to make you feel one with the surrounding area, and to absorb the message from nature. So to get us ready to begin our writing journeys this week, we took this long nature walk, which was quite lovely. And Fiona gave us a lot of stories about the area we were in near these castles and these abbeys, and it was quite lovely. It was very, very nice way to start things off.
So where are you specifically? Are you in Dublin?
I'm outside Galway. So Galway is
Galway.
3 hours from Dublin. So we flew into Dublin, or I did, and then you took a bus, a luxury coach type bus out to Galway. And then in Galway proper, the hotel we're staying at is 40 minutes away from there. So we're kind of in this little tiny little village. It's so quaint that, and you'll have to see the picture. The posts in the parking lot where like you put your car, you don't want to hit it, they have crocheted tops for these posts. I kid you not. The posts
Wow.
are covered in crocheted like tops so that you don't bump your car into the metal.
Wow. That reminds me of the 70s a little bit, like everything was macrame, you know?
Yes, yes,
I
yes,
love
yes.
myself some macrame. But I just the inspiration for
Mhm.
creativity is amazing, and I really honestly didn't realize they do. Of course, I'm not amazed, but these writing tours. And did you come up with this idea, or I know you probably didn't come up with the overall idea, I'm sure other people have done it, but you're doing this under the Wild Rose,
So
under the umbrella?
yeah, so last year I was very fortunate and I did one in Santorini, Greece. And so when
Wow.
I was there in
Hmm.
Santorini, this lady, this coordinator contacted me and said, "Would you like to do Ireland next year?" And of course, that's somewhere I've always wanted to go. And I said, "Yes." So I've done two, which have been phenomenal, getting to go to Santorini last fall and then Ireland this year. But we work hard at them because you're literally you're here with these folks from the minute you land until the minute you leave. And other than tonight, when you're in your bedroom, you're in your hotel room, you're on with these authors, the whole time, writing, talking, writing, answering questions, doing what you can.
Are these all your published authors, or are they just anybody can join?
This particular group happens to all except for two are my published authors. When this Ireland trip came up and I put it out there that I was invited to do this, who wanted to come, I put it out to my authors first. And so they kind of filled it up. There was only 12 allowed to come.
So, what can these individuals expect to learn from this multi-day trip? I mean, you've been on one of
Well,
these before.
the cool thing I think that we learned today, we did like a kickoff workshop. It was just a little hour exercise. And what I did was I had a bag full of, I actually have it here, of random items that I brought from home. And we had things like a bracelet, and I had a little rock, and I had a nail, and I had a penny, and there was like 15 things, just random crazy things. And they had to write a story in 15 minutes or start a story about 5 of the objects. They had to pick 5 and write the story. So, some people took the rock and the nail I had earplugs in there and a couple other things. And they wrote and they wrote and they wrote. And then after 15 minutes, they shared their stories. And then after they shared and we talked a little bit about what they wrote, Samantha kind of told them how she would market it. So we had this exercise that got the creative juices flowing in kind of a random way. They were probably writing outside their usual genre because they were using these objects. And then Sam showed them how easy it is to just throw that into a social media post while they were there. So that really kind of kicked things off that way.
So, they were able to write about the experience of doing this simple exercise. It was really kind of
Yeah,
a creative and
That's
branding
so
exercise
cool.
almost all in one.
exactly. Just to
That's
kind
really
of kick
cool.
things off, because today was really a tour day where we really didn't do a lot else with writing. It was all about seeing the area. And then tomorrow we're going to be here in the hotel all day, just doing workshops and writing. And I meet one-on-one with each of the attendees this week for a half an hour each to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And Samantha also will meet with them to talk about marketing. So we've got all that planned. And so tomorrow's a full on all day conference day.
Hmm. Well, it sounds really exciting. What are you most looking forward to over the course of the trip?
I think that for me, on a personal note, seeing Ireland is just been on my bucket list for a very long time. So the chance to be here with writers and experience it through with them, I think is really cool. And I think I told you guys last week, at the end of my workshops, at the end of this week on Sunday, my family's coming over. So we're going to stay on another week and vacation. So that for me personally is very cool. But also some of these women, and I have one gentleman here from the UK, one of my authors, but being with these writers who I've known for many, many years, there's a comfort level. They're not brand new people I just met for the most part. I know them. So it's like being with your best friends for a whole week sometimes, and just hanging out and, drinking wine in the bar or grabbing chocolate bars across the street. It's good. It's just good, feel good stuff.
Well, it sounds like a blast. I haven't taken an all-girls trip in some time, and that sounds like that should be it. Maybe we need to do this, Jules.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
just thinking, what a life you're living, Rhonda. What a life you're living. The fact that you get to go hang out with your besties in
I know.
Ireland, drinking wine, eating chocolate, writing, touring. I don't
I
know
know.
how
You
life
pinch
gets better.
yourself.
And then your kids are coming.
Yep. I'm truly, truly blessed, and don't think I don't know that. I am
You
truly
have a
blessed to be
pinch?
here doing this. I do. Well, today,
Pinch
I will
yourself?
say today, I was standing next to one of my good friends, Ruth Weeks, who writes for me. We were overlooking a field of sheep. Like, I couldn't get much more Irish. And I said to Ruthie, I said, "Can you believe we're in Ireland?" And she says, "I can't believe it." I said, "Neither can I. This is amazing."
Mm,
So
mm.
it's just one of those moments, where you do say, "Oh my God, I'm in Ireland."
Now, do you have plans to drive to the Northern Ireland territory or going over to the other coast?
We're pretty much staying here in Galway area. When my family gets here, we're going to go to Killarney, which is a couple hours from here, and then on to Dublin. So we're going to do a couple different towns, but Northern Ireland is just a little bit too far for the
Mhm.
6 or 7 days that they're here. But who knows? Maybe that just means I have to come back.
Well,
Right.
maybe next time we'll come with you.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and we're gonna do your podcast in Ireland, the
That would
episode
be awesome.
in live on site. There'll be so much powerful creativity going on, when you're taken out of your comfort zone, when you're in
Oh,
a new
definitely.
space around new energy. What
Hmm.
are the outcomes that you're hoping for each of these authors here?
Well, I think the really cool thing is what you were touching on is when you get the ability or the opportunity to go somewhere for a length of time where it's all about writing. You're not trying to squeeze it in your day. You're not trying to
Mhm.
write before the kids get up or do it after they go to bed or after your job. You're here for the sole purpose of feeding your craft and your soul and just writing and learning writing and talking to writers about their writing, and it's writing, 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 and it's just the best.
Hmm.
I
Sounds
really wish I
delightful.
was there.
We would have so much fun. I wish you guys were here too.
We'd get in a lot of trouble, let's be honest,
Yeah,
right,
I think so.
Karina?
Well, we're in this tiny little hotel. There's only 16 rooms here. It's very, very
What?
quaint
That's
in
like a
this
B and
little
b
village.
almost.
Almost like well, yeah, it is actually a hotel though. They have a wonderful restaurant. But it's very small and it's not a chain. It's very, very quaint and it's nice. It's very nice.
Well, I loved the places I stayed in Ireland. I found that it was a beautiful place to get lost because
Mhm.
I went from England, where it seemed like there was more signs than you could ever want to look at, and then
Mhm.
you go to Ireland, and it's like, where are the street signs? They're overgrown with vines. Like you can't
Yep.
necessarily see them. And people say, well,
It's
that's part of the
quaint.
joy of being lost in Ireland. I mean, so anyway, if you want some tips about some spots to visit, granted, this is from about 17 years ago now, but
Oh, man, that's
I
not
did
current at
enjoy
all.
a few towns more than I expected and found just some little hidden gems here and there that I think you'd love. So happy to chat with you about that.
Northern part, Karina, or were you in the Republic?
I think as far north as we got was Drogheda. So,
Okay.
and it's a very difficult to spell word, and we could not pronounce it right. I
Yeah.
ended up getting sick there. So we were like finding a hotel so I could go be my little sick self for a little bit.
Sounds familiar.
But it
You
was
get
a beautiful
sick.
space. I know I got COVID at Podfest, but anyway, it
Oh
was it
no.
was a beautiful town to even just be in for a couple of days. But our rental car wouldn't cover anything if we made it to Northern Ireland, so we had to make the choice
Okay,
not to
yeah.
push further.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
just the way it
very,
is.
very interesting, the division. It's a true division between the Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So,
That's right. Well,
but we went to
there's
a
a
little
couple.
town today. Do you know what the Quiet Man, the movie The Quiet Man with
Yes.
uh,
No,
John
John
Wayne and Maureen
Wayne.
O'Hara?
Mhm.
So we went to the town where it was filmed today. It was filmed right near here with Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne. And this little town is pretty much a homage to that movie. Like all the pubs are named after a character in the film, and there's a big statue of John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara in the middle of the square. It was really quite interesting. I haven't seen the movie in decades, but now I want to go watch it again to see because I was at these places.
Are you by any chance making it over to Scotland while you're in the British Isles?
No,
Okay.
just I'm only going to be in Ireland.
Yeah, I had to ask just because when we happened upon the castle in Dunblane in Scotland, we
Okay.
discovered after we were there, we're like, gosh, this place looks really familiar. Why does it look so familiar? So much of this tiny little castle looks familiar. It was the castle featured in Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Oh, I was thinking
Oh,
Braveheart.
no, no, that was the Stirling Castle. But no, in Dunblane, which is not far from Stirling, it's called Douane Castle. It's Douane, I think. Anyway, so we were there, and it wasn't until we were in the gift shop that it all came together because everything was paraphernalia from the Holy Grail.
wow.
Anyway, that's a
Isn't
non
that cool?
sequitur. Yeah, it was pretty fun. Anyway, I have a question that relates to going to these sort of writing retreats because I think, there are some often that are much closer to home than traveling half away
Mhm.
across the world. And I think sometimes people, as they're writing, as they're going through their creative process, they come to a point where they're just not quite sure what to do next with the story. And we term that writer's block or whatever you want to call it. But I wonder if for you, this experience of going on a writer's retreat really helps you push through that. Like, are you seeing yourself go over any of these hurdles, or what do you have to say about writer's block?
So we're actually going to do a mini workshop on that this week too, to try to talk about what are some of the things you can do to get through it. And what I'm hoping to get out of that workshop is the sharing. I hope that the authors can share with one another. Yes, this is what I did, or this works for me, or some of that. So I think that the biggest thing is you're, again, and I keep saying it, but you're with your people, right? We live in a world where we're with other teachers, or we're with, the grocery store clerks, or our family. We're not with other writers all day. And when you're with other writers who speak your language, it's just such a inspiration. I don't think anybody could get writer's block after coming off of a conference or a retreat. And I don't care if the retreat's in Detroit. When you're immersed in writing all day for 2-3 days a week, it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're with other writers.
Nobody understands that flow state. That point where you're at self-actualization. I mean, nobody, at least in my ecosystem, understands
Mm-mm.
that. When you're just like,
No,
it's just flowing right out of you and you can't explain
the
where it's
zone.
coming from. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a magical place to be, but a lot
It
of
is.
people don't understand. So when you can connect with those kind of people, wow,
Well, and when you
magic.
connect with people that speak your language, when they talk, you can talk about character development, and you can talk about, I'm having trouble with this pacing, or I'm having trouble with, too much dialogue. Normal people in our world don't know what the heck that means, but writers know.
And everyone's probably a lot more supportive and a lot nicer when they're in Ireland. Seriously, I'm not kidding. When you're out of your own space and you don't have those stressors or work and da da
Yeah,
da, everyone
exactly.
is just zoned and focused into uplifting each other, and we rise
I
by
think so.
uplifting others. It's
Yeah.
brilliant, genius.
Yep.
Well, and the
I think
green
so.
doesn't hurt. How many times
The
has it
green
rained
doesn't
since
hurt.
you've been there?
The
It
24
hasn't yet.
hours.
I know it hasn't. Today was beautiful. It was actually hit 70. We were a little warm in
Oh
the
wow.
bus. But I don't think that the weather's going to be the same all week. But we came prepared. I brought kind of like fall clothes for New York. Your jeans and a sweatshirt and a rain jacket, and we're ready.
Yeah. Well,
Your
I love it there
galoshes.
when it rains. You
Yeah.
said you went looking for fairy. It feels like they're everywhere. So
Yes.
really
Yep. If you
incredible.
just sit and listen. The coordinator, Fiona, she's a brilliant storyteller. And last night after dinner, she said, "Could I tell a Celtic bedtime story?" And I said, "Sure." And she wove this tale, and she had everybody enthralled. The brogue, first of all, the accent just
Mhm.
gets you. And then she told this story about a fairy princess or a fairy woman and a man, and it was just magical. And we were all sitting there listening, like we didn't want her to stop talking.
Oh wow. Sounds like she would be a great narrator for an audiobook.
Oh, probably, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yep. She was wonderful.
And I just have to ask you, is it Celtic or Celtic? Because I don't
I think
know.
it's
Celtic.
Celtic.
It's
Okay.
Celtic.
Yeah, Celtics
So
for the
my funny,
basketball team, right?
yeah,
I
and they
always
I'm,
get
I'm
lost.
obviously into sports, right?
I know, and my son
it's
was
a
all
football
bummed because they
team.
lost
I
Oh my
know.
gosh.
basketball.
I love that.
Um,
Well, what an adventure. And
It
writing is an
is. It
adventure.
is.
Writing is an adventure. And that the Wild Rose Press offers an opportunity like this is amazing. And just from all intents and purposes, I've heard that you guys really nurture your writers. You understand it's more than just pen to paper. It's more than the bottom line, although that's
Right.
helpful, but
Definitely.
it's about the people that you are affecting. It's about the relationships you're building with your authors. And I can't imagine a better place to do it.
And I saw wild Irish roses today.
wow.
Oh, did you get a picture?
Yeah, of course, of course. Got a picture.
Wild
I can't
Irish
imagine
roses.
very many publishers are taking their authors on tours like this. I mean, granted, of course, they have to pay their way, but
Yeah.
Right, right.
I can't
Exactly.
imagine that there are that many out there that take this kind of attention and care to their author base. So I think that's commendable. That's really awesome of you, Rhonda.
Well, we're all part of the same journey. We all want to publish a good book.
And I just feel like I want to ask you because you're an author, you're a publisher. How can you evoke the smell, the feel, the palpable sensory overload you have there in Ireland. Like, I
Into the
wanna
book,
feel it,
into
smell
your
it,
writing.
taste it. No, just how would you do that? Just because I wanna feel like I'm in Ireland right now.
That was part of our journey today in the forest, is trying to absorb all of that from nature and take it with us, so that when we go to set pen to paper, that the words will come. Like you said, sometimes it's just magic and they flow, and you remember being in the forest, and you remember the smells of the mossy land, and the the even the bugs, biting you because you're in the woods, all that kind of stuff that you can hopefully bring out of you back into your book.
Yeah. Take some little video snips so you can revisit it, you know?
Oh, the
Yes,
crunch of the twigs beneath your feet and the babbling
exactly.
brook, the soothing sound of the birds. I don't even know, but I just am trying to picture it right now because 'cause I'm not in
And it was
Ireland.
so green, it was so very green, and,
Mhm.
I call it Spanish moss, I don't know if it was Irish moss hanging off the trees, and just the, rustling of the leaves. It really was just quite peaceful. For 2 kilometers we walked,
Mhm.
and, the coordinator had said, "I'd really like it if you walked in silence and just took it in instead of, talking amongst you," which is hard for us women, right? There's 12 of us women together. Tell us not to talk to each other. But it was nice to walk and just take it all in, just take it all in.
What surprises have you encountered thus far? And I know this is early. We might need to ask you at the close of your trip.
Well, anytime you travel to a different country, there's surprises. They do things different. They just do. Even just here in my room this morning, trying to they have a kettle of water that you can heat up for your instant coffee. I couldn't get the kettle to work. I couldn't get it to work, and then I realized you have to turn the switch on the wall on to get the plug to work. So it's just little things that are just different, and you're like, oh, just
Well, one of the
crazy stuff
things
like
I had
that.
in a lot of hotel rooms in Europe is you had to have a key card that you inserted into something so that your power would work even in your room.
Yes.
And it was one of the
Yes.
ways that they would regulate, like you left on a bunch of appliances or something, you just couldn't do that, right?
Mm-mm.
So it's a different
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely more aware of energy conservation in Europe than we are in the States, where they they try really hard to, like you said, control it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you can't control anything, can you? You can't
Mm-mm.
control the free flow of thought and creativity. And if you are not creative on a trip with Rhonda Penders in Ireland, then there's really no hope for you.
If you can't unlock your inner muse when you're in Ireland, I don't know
Your
what
inner
where you
muse.
can.
Is
Wow.
there a particular book or a character you're trying to flesh out while you're there?
Me personally, probably not. I think we've talked about that before, how there's just no time for me to write anymore. But
Mhm.
I have to
Blah,
admit that when
blah,
you're
blah.
I know,
She's
I know,
gonna
I
write
know.
another book. We know she is.
When when you're here, it's hard not to let the writer part of your brain, like when I was doing the exercise with them with the objects, in my head I was writing the story with them. I was writing my own version, and it's hard not to do that because you're a writer at heart. You're never gonna not be a writer.
I love that. And I guess my biggest burning question, and it's not a question, it's just kind of understanding the dynamics of having the big boss on the trip. Do you feel like you're the principal and everybody wants to like be around Rhonda, talk to Rhonda, pick Rhonda's brain? Or is this more collaborative? Like, oh, like look at Karina. She's around Rhonda again, asking her questions about her next
I
book.
think the hard thing for me is because I'm so used to being in charge that, Fiona is really in charge. She is leading the tour. She has put it together. I'm here invited by her. It's really difficult for me not to take over. And so I'm trying to do that, step back when I shouldn't be stepping forward. And it's out of my natural rhythm. So I'm really trying to not take over from her and let her run the show until it's my turn to be there, to my turn to speak. But we're having a lot of fun, and I'm trying to being pretty good about not always being the boss, right?
Well, it's nice to take that pressure off for a little bit and just enjoy yourself and be
Sure.
intentional and just soak in everything that is Ireland. And I know this is going
Right.
to manifest somehow, somewhere. You're not going to be able to hold it in, as I'm sure your 12 other authors will not be able to hold it in. You'll be seeing it on the pages of many books in the Wild Rose Press. Oh my gosh. So do you think Rhonda remembers our favorite new correspondent from Ireland? Do you think she remembers what we do at the end of every episode, Karina?
The 2 words that she's supposed to say?
And can you say it in Gaelic?
Oh, please.
That's asking a
Like
lot.
I learned Gaelic in 24 hours.
I know. I thought
You just absorbed it by osmosis, walking through those
Yeah,
beautiful
exactly.
Karina
forests.
would have. Karina would know it by heart now. That's
it's in the spelling of word, trying to even figure out how to pronounce it is really tough. I don't know. It's beautiful when you hear it spoken, but to see it written, it's very tough to understand what it is.
Yeah, like Drogheda, the town. That one I struggled with.
But
Well,
it's lovely here.
we're gonna kick it in just a second, but Rhonda, next year, please let Karina and I know where you're going on your
I
writing
will.
journey,
I will.
and we'll bring
course.
all the media casters along, at least through our podcast. But we
Well, that
adore
would be
you,
great.
and
Let's
My
kick it.
next exciting conference is Seattle in September 24th for the Pacific Northwest Writers. PCN something, Pacific Northwest Writers.
Beautiful area, beautiful time of year to be in Seattle. You picked it.
Yep.
That's a great time of year to be
love
there.
it. Love
Absolutely
Seattle.
beautiful. You'll get a lot of sun. I know people say it rains all the time in Seattle, but it's not really true. It's just
September, it'll be
absolutely beautiful.
Good. I'm
well, we
looking
know
forward
you
to
want to
it.
tuck yourself in, have a
I
pint of
do.
Guinness and a sip of Bailey's, and there's a big time difference. We adore ourselves, Rhonda Penders, and this episode was rather clean in language. So,
Yes,
children,
it
you may come into the room. Children, come back in.
Yeah. Well, they can
Leave
also
play
go back
parents.
and listen to our earlier episode with Rhonda when it wasn't exactly a PG conversation. Let's put it that
Wow.
way.
Yeah, go check out Rhonda's last episode on the Media Casters. It's fine. We're
It's
good.
fun.
We love
Love
it.
it.
But let's say kick it, Rhonda.
Okay, kick it. Love it. You guys have a great time. I love
you.
it.
Thank
you so much
You get
for
some
having
sleep
me
and
again.
amazing. Thank you for being our first official international correspondent. So
International
right.
correspondent. Love it.
It's a new title for Rhonda Penders.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Audiocasters. You can keep this conversation going and kick it with Karina and Jules in live office hours each week. Visit themediacasters.mn.co to sign up. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe whenever you listen. Let's kick it.